Okay, so just move along over here. Nothing else there to mention just yet. Still going strong, although I'm saying still going strong. This spike is on its way out, and there's only one little one down there. But fortunately, I have another spike over here on this one. This one's called Miltoniopsis Junit 8. Junit 8. So if anybody knows what the heck that comes from, or where that comes from, because I have no idea. It sounds to me like it's some kind of holding name until they give it a proper name. It's obviously not registered. I've had a look on the RHS website, on orchids.org as well. Nothing. So I don't know where Junit 8 comes from. I like to know these things. Look at the difference between these two. So which one is Red Jewel and which one is Zebrina is the question. Well, you would expect the one on the right is Zebrina, and the one on the left is Red Jewel. Well, you'd be right. You thought I was going to say the opposite then, didn't you? Yeah, they can see very clearly. But when you've not got them together, it's not as easy to tell. If you do grow Red Jewel and Zebrina and they grow long and trailing, it becomes even more difficult to tell which is the difference, because the leaves, depending on the age of the leaves, have different colours and different markings. Well, they're looking really nice. If you quickly check this bin here, this trug, I've just got rid of a whole bunch of Tradescantia that were all trailing down there. I couldn't get at my RO water, I couldn't see my temperature gauge, I couldn't see the humidity gauge, so I just thought, look, just cut it all off, it'll come again, it's fine. There's all sorts in this pot here. There's some of the Maiden's Blush, there's some Zebrina, there's a little bit of Red Jewel as well. It will come back again, so I'm not worried about that. You've just got to keep chopping them back. I like a jungle, but you know, there's a limit. I need to be able to get around and do things. See, all this stuff here, all that, when I need that hose pipe, I'm not going to be able to get at it. So I'm going to probably chop some of that back at some point. But that's the whole point of Tradescantia. It's really good for that kind of thing. A couple more. You can see from Dibley's there, a couple more African violets. This one's even got a bud on it, so I'm looking forward to a nice bloom there, hopefully. I was that busy over the week that these actually came on Monday, and today's Saturday, I've only just taken them out of the packet and repotted them. And that's unheard of for me. This Brassia Orange Delight is about to come into bloom. You can see, you saw what it was like. I think I released my last video on Tuesday, which would have been done the weekend before, where it was just a spike. And see how quickly it's come out with that. These Nepenthes getting bigger now. They've got 3 new ones on that. I'm still feeding them with the orchid spray, just giving them a spray, because obviously they're not catching anything at the moment because I've not got the vents up. Once I get those done, that'll be my next job. Speaking of which, the fogger doesn't work. I give that a little test today, but you can see how mucky it is. It needs a real good clean out when Fudge isn't around, so I need to try and find a place to do that, because he'll just want to get his nose in it. This is what they do. You can't do anything, can you, with dogs, puppies especially? They just want to get their nose in. They're so interested in everything. I mean, it's lovely, it's great, but it means you can't do anything unless somebody's looking after them. Let's have a look at our Drosera Regia seeds. Now, I may well have to zoom in with software on this, which is my biggest seedling. It looks like nothing. Not these green bits that you can see here, this is just the moss that's beginning to grow. But if I focus in on, I can see right in the centre there, I'll just put my finger next to it, there. That is a Drosera Regia seedling. It's not much to look at the moment, I admit. And there's another one there. And there's another one there. There's quite a few. It's just a case of, will they survive the fact that I have coir underneath that, and the coir hasn't been washed at all, not even once. So, I don't know, will the salt be too much for it? We'll just have to see. So, you saw that as one of my favourite Phalaenopsis. It's very, very common. You see loads of pictures of this, but for good reason. It is such a nice one. I don't want to be a snob about these things. Look at this, isn't that lovely? So this one is, I can't remember this one. I think this is another name changing one. Brassolaeliocattleya, Shinfong, Little Sun, Young Min, Golden Boy. I think I've seen this on Rogers years ago. He must have. Well, that might be where I got the idea from to get one. But it is beautiful, and you just expect that to have a really lovely scent, don't you? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't smell of anything, unfortunately. I think this was one of the ones that, this amongst every other orchid that I get off the internet, but it didn't have any roots when it first came, and it soon dropped the flowers. But fortunately, for me anyway, it's recovered. I put it in a much smaller pot and just basically watered it very infrequently. If you remember my video on the Burrageara, the Oncidopsis, look, so we've got a new growth there, and somewhere, you know what I'm going to say, there is another new growth there, down there. So it's recovering, even though it doesn't look it. It's just temperatures. It just doesn't like those temperatures over a period of time. That's what I think I've kind of settled on now. It's fine going down to 12, even for a month, but once you get to 3 months, it says, God, this is ridiculous. Can't keep at 12 degrees Celsius for 3 months, and that's when it starts to blacken its leaves. Couple more of these lovely little African violets. I was telling you about these. So yeah, these are now subgenus of Streptocarpus, but the African violets, the Saintpaulias, even though it's a subgenus of Streptocarpus, they don't have the same care. These don't want to go down below 15 degrees Celsius. Nighttime temperatures can go to 15. During the day, they want to be above 18. This Tradescantia nanouk lilac, it's looking nice and terrible at the same time. Lovely colours underneath. It's doing what I'd like it to do, and I am going to actually get it in a hanging basket. I saw a really nice example of one in a hanging basket, but you see all these black bits and marks and whatnot. Doesn't like the humidity, doesn't like any water dropping on its leaves and staying on its leaves, and that's what's happened. That's what all these horrible yucky bits are, because there are drips. I water things. There's things up here. I water the red jewel, I water the moss, and things drip on it, and I can't keep it from getting wet, unfortunately, so I have to put up with those. But you get that in the wild anyway, wouldn't you? I'm not running some kind of pristine. It's like going sweeping the jungle up, isn't it? This is a jungle area. I can't keep it absolutely pristine. That's just the way things go. You can see I've also chopped this Tradescantia off here because it was getting very, very long, and there just wasn't any room to do anything, so I've chopped it off. I've put some more in the top, and we start it off again nice and fresh. And I've done exactly the same with this one. I've just reduced it in height, and it should be a little bit easier for me to deal with for a while. Another African violet there. This Tradescantia silamontana. It's nice. Again, look, it's one of these, it just does not like this time of year. I've kept it at 18 degrees. It's looking wet. I really keep it dry for most of the time, but I've only just watered it. That's why it's looking wet at the moment. It's bringing some new growths out, but over winter, I think the lack of sunshine, and you really can't underestimate how just having the sun on it for a little bit through the windows makes such a difference, because obviously it's not the temperature. It's stayed nice and warm, but it's been very, very humid. And that's something that, again, most of my plants in here prefer the humidity. This one doesn't, because it's got loads and loads of little hairy leaves, and they would trap the water and then they rot the ends, and this is what happened to this one. Speaking of which, the same thing can be said about these Saintpaulias. So even though they're quite easy to grow, they don't really like to have humidity. Well, this is one of those odd ones, this one. They like humidity. They don't want to be dry. If you keep it in a house, don't put it anywhere near a radiator, and they really want to be standing on something that has some water. Not so that it soaks up, just some water around the base, so it's on stones, like lifted above that water, to provide a little bit of humidity. What they don't want is water on the leaves, because again, they have very hairy leaves, and the recommendation is, and this is, let me think, I think this was Dibley's that recommended this, and they should know, is to bottom water them. I've top watered them this time just because I knew I could do it, because obviously the new plants have only just been potted. These pots are a little bit big for them yet. I know I could do it without actually getting it on the leaves, but once they spread a little bit and the roots start to grow out a little bit, I'll start bottom watering them. My Zygopetalum Trosy Blue, as we think it is, I don't know if it's that happy at the moment. I lost a growth, and this one has, can you see how it's going black down at the bottom there? Fortunately, I think there's still enough green to keep that on. It's not coming off, and that one so far looks untouched. We'll see. No idea why that happened, whether it got a little bit of water in the crown there, I don't know. So that's what's going on in the warm side. So let us take you through to the cool side and have a look if there's anything to discuss over there.